السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. كيف أمسيتم؟ أمسينا وأمسى الملك لله والحمد لله، لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. رب أسألك خير ما في هذه الليلة وخير ما بعدها. رب أعوذ بك من شر ما في هذه الليلة ومن شر ما بعدها. رب أعوذ بك من الكسل والسوء الكبر. رب أعوذ بك من عذاب في النار ومن عذاب في القبر. آمين. اللهم تقبل منا صيامنا وصلاتنا، ووفقنا للعمل الصالح الذي ترضى. اللهم اجمع قلوبنا عليك، وافتح مسامع قلوبنا لذكرك يا أرحم الراحمين يا أكرم الأكرمين. Last night we introduced the concept from Surah Al-Baqarah, as it is the second surah of the Quran, the first major surah in the Quran to begin the Quran, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduces us to the Quran and introduces us, if you will, to the history of mankind and to the fate of mankind by first of all mentioning to us the different types of human beings in their relationship to the revelation, to the Quran, and then begins to tell us about the genesis of the humankind and the origin of the humankind and the intended future for the humankind. And that's where we began, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that very powerful statement in the ayah that we began to elaborate upon in a bit, though we have before also many times spoken about that concept, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, as He addressed al-malaika, the angels, inni ja'ilun fil ardi Khalifa, and we began to elaborate somehow on the very wide meaning and all-encompassing meaning of Al-Khalifa, who is Khalifa. And that led us to speak about the concept of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that a true Khalifa of God, a true vicegerent, a true steward, a true trustee of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth is the one who represents Him best. And to represent Him is therefore to reflect what He is at our best possible human level. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Jamilun wa Jalilun wa Kamilun fi Jamalihi wa Jalalihi subhanahu wa ta'ala bi asma'ihi wa sifatih. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His names and attributes is the most beautiful, the most majestic, and the perfect in that majesty and in that beauty, in those names and attributes of His subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, we who are to be the representatives of God, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth, we are meant to again reflect the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not at His divine infinite level, of course, but at our best possible human level. Allah is Rahim, compassionate, merciful, lovingly merciful. He wants us and He loves those who are the same at our human possible level. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we said, is Alim, is all-knowing at His divine, most perfect, infinite level. He wants us and He desires from us, and He loves that we are people of knowledge, the knowledge that is beneficial, the knowledge that connects us to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala and helps us navigate in this life in a way that is consistent with what He loves subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Kareem. Al-Kareem is generous, and therefore He loves that we be generous and that we express generosity in our lives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Adl, is just, and He wants and He loves those who are equitable and just. And with that, Allah is Muhsin, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And thus commands us to be Muhsin, benevolent, magnanimous, not only just. And He wants us to be that way. وهكذا, and He is Sabur, and He is subhanahu wa ta'ala Halim, and He is Shakur. All of those beautiful attributes, we are to receive them, internalize them, and reflect them in our lives at different levels, all the different levels of life. Whatever we do, whenever we are, we reflect the divine attributes. And when we do that, we are the vicegerents. We are the khulafa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, there will be amongst us those who will not do that. And that's the part that we mentioned about of the malaik, of the angels, alayhim salamullah, in a sense, inquiring from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they said, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ. Ya Allah, are you going to put on earth those who would cause mischief and shed blood? And we have last night concluded from that certainly committing mischief, and we gave many examples of what fasad or ifsad mean and imply at different levels of life, and committing or shedding blood and spilling blood, as we mentioned last night, and we expounded a bit on that. Doing that is incompatible, incongruent with Khilafah on earth. That human beings, whether individuals or groups or nations, commit ifsad on earth and commit and spill and shed blood on earth in the ways that are not at all sanctioned and permitted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they are not khulafa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are not khulafa of Allah Azza wa Jal. And therefore, I and you must understand, in addition to ifsad, which is very general, and shedding blood, any comportment on our part, any behavior on our part, any style of life of ours that is inconsistent and incompatible with what Allah is in His beauty and in His majesty, incompatible with the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and of what He wants from us. Every time we are like that, then we have violated our responsibility of khilafah on earth, whether individuals or nations. Remember last night when we spoke of shedding blood, سفك الدماء تجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء. سفك الدماء, as we mentioned here, is not only initiating bloodshedding. Initiating bloodshedding, that's سفك الدماء. ومن قتل نفسا بغير نفس أو فساد في الأرض فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Killing one life is like killing all humanity. Killing one life unjustly or out of corruptive intent on earth is unjust. But we have said not only beginning to shed blood, but reciprocating bloodshedding in an excessive way. As we mentioned, Allah says subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَنْ قُتِلَ مَظْلُومًا فَقَدْ جَعَلْنَا لِوَلِيِّهِ سُلْطَانًا فَلَا يُسْرِفْ فِي الْقَتْلِ إِنَّهُ كَانَ مَنْصُورًا. Not only must we not shed blood to begin with in unjust forms as individuals, criminals, nations, groups do, unfortunately, but also in defending ourselves, in warding off evil, in wanting to stop bloodshed. Don't stop bloodshed with bloodshed and more bloodshed. That's why Allah says, even if someone kills another person unjustly and unfairly, as criminals do, then there is the right of justice. Of course, with telling us subhanahu wa ta'ala so many things, but he said, the one who wants to take justice in that case must not be excessive in the use of his power to inflict punishment on the culprit. فَلَا يُسْرِفْ فِي الْقَتْلِ. Don't be excessive in killing. That's bloodshedding. That's safkud dima. Allah Azza wa Jal loves even when we do justice, that we do that with beautiful benevolence and magnanimity. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَتَبَ الْإِحْسَانَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. To the extent that he said, فَإِذَا ذَبَحْتُمْ فَأَحْسِنُوا الذَّبْحَ وَإِذَا قَتَلْتُمْ فَأَحْسِنُوا الْقَتْلَ. And therefore, not to be abusive and excessive in shedding blood. And yet humanity from the beginning till the end has had always people, individuals and groups and nations that are so excessive in shedding blood, so excessive in taking their rights. Sometimes I have a right, but sometimes I use my right excessively. Excessively. That is also part of incompatibility with being a Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. Because as the first statement that the angels, Allah tells us, make after Allah says, I'm going to make a Khalifa on earth. And he says, and they say, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ. Therefore, al-ifsadu fil ard, I repeat, anytime I or you or any person at home or at work or at school or at playing or in disagreements or in economically or politically or militarily or socially, at any level of our lives, when we do things in a way that is incompatible with divine beauty and majesty, then we are not worthy of Khilafah. And yet they did say that, and Allah informed them that perhaps that's what would happen. But why did Allah Azza wa Jal still let the human being be a representative? Because He said to them also, إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Because He said, how do you do that? And we وَنَحْنُ نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ. Why, Ya Allah? How is it? What is, in other words, your wisdom behind allowing or making such a race as your representatives when they would do this and that, that is some of them, and yet we نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ. We are in tasbih of you, مُتَلَبِّسِينَ بِحَمْدِكَ. We're always in tasbih of you in a condition in which we are always thankful to you and grateful to you. Gratefulness and thankfulness inside, and tasbih and tahleel and dhikr of Allah with the tongue, while the qalb is in a condition of الحمد. نسبح بحمدك أي نسبحك متلبسين بحمدك سبحانك ونقدس لك. And that is, and we strive to purge ourselves, to purify ourselves for you. For you. نقدس أنفسنا لك. نطهر أنفسنا لك. That we, and that should be the quality of a true Khalifa also, is to be always in tasbih of Allah Azza wa Jal, in dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, while internally always grateful to Allah Azza wa Jal, always, under all circumstances. And we make ourselves ready by cleansing our hearts, our thoughts, our minds, our emotions, our feelings, what we are inside, cleansing ourselves from the dirt and the stain of shirk, and the dirt and the stain of terrible ailments like arrogance and delusion and ostentation and conceitedness and greed, etc., etc., etc. تطهير نفوسنا، تقديس نفوسنا لله سبحانه وتعالى. هذا من باب أيضا إتمام وتحقيق الخلافة لله، أو من شروطها تحقيق الخلافة لله في الأرض. That is, a Khalifa should do these things as well. I repeat, تسبيح والحمد وتقديس النفس لله عز وجل، أي تطهير القلب لله عز وجل. That I cleanse my heart, I cleanse myself from that which is impure and immoral and unbefitting to be exposed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should do that. So he said to them, we do that. So he answered subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And the commentators of the Quran and the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had known which they did not know, and therefore He showed them that they don't know many things, that this race would know. وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها ثم عرضهم على الملائكة فقال أنبئوني بأسماء هؤلاء إن كنتم صادقين قالوا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم قال يا آدم أنبئهم بأسمائهم فلما أنبأهم بأسمائهم قالوا سبحانك قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم غيب السماوات والأرض وأعلم ما تبدون وما كنتم تكتمون. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed them, and the malaika are taught by Allah teaching them, not like human beings in some different ways. When He showed them that the human being would have knowledge that Allah Azza wa Jal allowed him and allowed them, that the angels Allah did not give them. So they realized, yes, well, Allah does what He pleases. Up to that point, you thought you are the elect. Well, Allah Azza wa Jal can elect anyone, can choose anyone, and can give them that which or by which they become indeed superior spiritually and morally. So Allah gave some knowledge simply that the angels didn't have, and here the angels don't know in front of the human being who knows. What lesson do we draw from this? No matter what I have, no matter what I am, never, 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 never think, and yet human beings do commit that mistake, never think that there is nobody who has more than you or better than you. And even if that person doesn't exist now, Allah can create him or her or them at any time and give them that which you do not have, and by which they become superior to you in the divine sense. Keep that in mind. And thus, when they recognize that, and Allah showed that, they would know that Allah Azza wa Jal also will bring amongst them, and that's in His ghaib. ألم أقول لكم أني أعلم غيب السماوات والأرض. That of the ghaib that they didn't know, of the unseen and the future that they didn't know, that Allah did not teach them up to that point, is that there would be amongst human beings, yes, there would be those who commit mischief and shed blood, but there would be also what? Messengers, anbiya, awliya, shuhada, salihun, ulama, rabbaniyun, which there would be also messengers, prophets, saints, righteous ones, martyrs, people who know and know in divine ways that Allah Azza wa Jal allowed and created and allowed them to be so. That too they didn't know. Now when that has happened, and they have recognized that now, Allah says to the angels, lay yourselves now in sujood to Adam. Lay yourselves now in sujood, in prostration to Adam. Some of the beautiful scholars of the hearts and of our ulama draw attention to something very special. the hearts that are very spiritual or inclined to the deeper spiritual dimension would find this very, very, very special, very beautiful. You see, when Allah says to the angels without telling them details, I'm going to lay on earth, I'll put on earth a Khalifa. See, this is before He created Adam even. Before Adam was, He said, I'm going to put on earth a Khalifa. Pay attention. That is before Adam was created and before Adam committed the mistake. Pay attention. Allah has already said, I will put on earth a Khalifa. Already this is very special. And then, when He told them about that, they said, we praise you, we purge ourselves for you. And they commit mischief and shed blood. In other words, as the ulama say, they're saying we should be having that honor and that responsibility, because God is to be loved and God is to be obeyed, and we obey you and we revere you. We. But then He showed them that they didn't know something else, which they told them about. And after that He says to them, "Usjudu li Adam." Did you get it? Some yes, maybe some not yet. That I am. We. And they deserve that. And they are the angels of Allah. Of course, they deserve that. We're speaking now at a very special spiritual high level. They deserve that. But they said, we. And now in order, some of the ulama say, in order to remove that I from them, He said, lay yourself in sujood to the person you belittled. Now He's above you. Usjudu li Adam. So that He removes from them completely that part of we. Usjudu li Adam. And I remember here Sayyiduna Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, it is said in one story, he had a little bit of a sort of a shouting match, sort of misunderstanding with another companion, Sayyidina Bilal. And he used the phrase unbefitting, alayhi ridwanullah. And then he repented to Allah Azza wa Jal after that. He did repent, but it was not sufficient for him until he did what? And you know the story? Until he did what? He laid himself prostrate on the ground and put his cheek on the dust, and he said, put your foot on top of me. Because I said I and belittled you. SubhanAllah, that great companion falls on the ground, puts his cheek on the sand and says, put your foot on top of me. You know, Sayyiduna Adam alayhi salam wa sadatuna al-malaikatu alayhim salamullah. This is how Allah prepares those who are very special. So He tells now the angels, you go prostrate yourselves to Him. The secret is on account of saying, we are better. You were better, but you should not have said that. Allah knows already who is and who is not. SubhanAllah. That's like the ulama who said that's the atonement, that's the kafara of the angels for that, fumble, if you will. It's a fumble. It's not even a mistake for us, but hasanatu al-muqarrabin, hasanatu al-abrar, sayyiatu al-muqarrabin, as it is said. There are those of us who are very righteous, and when we do something righteous, for those who are above us in spiritual level, that is a stain. Right? So for the angels, it should not have happened. Yet it is normally fine. But at their level, they should not. They should not. So lay yourselves prostrate. So they do. So they do. As Allah tells us, and here it shows, they do. They immediately do. They don't argue. They don't anymore justify. That's it, they have done it once in a sense. They don't justify now because He told them now to do even something more, to go in sujood to a person, to a human being. When before they said, when He said, I'm going to put a Khalifa, they said, you put one who kada kada? That's a sort of a, I don't want to say challenge, but an exchange. Now they learn, no exchange, they go to sujood. But one of them who was there did not learn well. إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ اسْتَكْبَرَ وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Except Iblis alayhi la'natullah. Lucifer, as some say. Except Iblis. Istakbara. Allah says, it says it there, Istakbara. He showed arrogance. He thought he is above. He thought he is better. This is not like the angels who exchanged that statement with Allah Azza wa Jal with the intent of discovering the wisdom and the why. That was not arrogance. This one is arrogance. It's not about to discover and to want to know the wisdom and the why, but this is because I am better. So they do not. So he does not lay himself prostrate, as you know, to Adam, to the humankind. Why? Because he is better. He ought to be respected. He ought to be in his mind prostrated to by clay, for he is made of fire. But Allah Azza wa Jal teaches us again here that Allah Azza wa Jal selects whom He pleases to elevate to a degree that He pleases. Shaitan as a jinn, and there are many statements about the ulama as to what that means, was somehow very special before. Very special before. But Allah Azza wa Jal chooses who is special. He was special not on account of himself, but on account of Allah making him special. And He can make anybody special and more special above us at any time. This is another lesson, like the previous one. When somebody becomes better than us, and if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selects someone to be better than us at any level, financial, political, economic, social, spiritual, religious, intellectual, many of us, our first reaction is what? And that's Iblis. And that's Iblis. We'll stop here inshaAllah ta'ala, and we'll continue tomorrow bi'idhnillah ta'ala to learn more lessons bi'idhnillah. May Allah Azza wa Jal help me and help you all and help us all be of those who listen to the words of admonition and follow the best of them. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.